How's it going? Kevin Cleary here with The View from the Pew. And today I want to talk about something that, at least at my house, is a pretty hot topic, and maybe it is at your house as well. It's not the latest political issue. It's not the major news story of the day. It is superheroes. I have a son who loves superheroes and everything about superheroes. And in fact, sometimes when I'm trying to pick a show for him to watch on TV, he'll say, "Daddy, I don't want to watch this show. It doesn't even have any heroes." He's constantly dressing up as Superman and Wolverine and the Flash and Green Arrow and everyone in between. Okay, sometimes he even dresses up as the bad guys. The other day he was Sabretooth. Our culture is enamored with superheroes. You pretty well know that every summer, one of the summer blockbusters is going to be a superhero movie. Sometimes more than one, oftentimes more than one. You know that around Christmas time, those big budget releases, there's going to be, again, a superhero movie. I think this year it's probably going to be Batman versus Superman. Okay? It's the Avengers. It's the Justice League. It's the X-Men. It's the Fantastic Four. You know, we love this stuff. And, you know, that only scratches the surface because we haven't even talked about video games. We haven't talked about network television. We haven't talked about products. And, you know, Joel, every time we walk into Walmart, my son, the first thing he says is, "Daddy, I want to go to the superhero aisle." When he buys Legos, he really likes Legos, but guess what kind of Legos he always wants? The superhero Legos. And so it's more than just blockbuster movies. It's pervasive in our culture. And I think our love for superheroes is betraying something about us. We imagine a world where there are these beings, these characters who are strong because we feel weak, who are brave because we are afraid, who are able because we are helpless, who work in teams because we're lonely. You know, we have these heroes who we've imagined who embody all of the places that we feel weak, who have over-the-top strength in all of the areas of life where we feel like we need that strength. And so reality is hard for us, and what we do is we imagine a world where there are these beings who are strong and courageous and have integrity and protect people and care about those who are weaker than them. The truth is that our love for superheroes is betraying our need for God. Because the reality is there is a real God, not imagined, who created the world and everything in it, who really is all-powerful, who really does care about humanity, care about our needs and our plight, and in fact has gone to great lengths to deal with human need. But not only do superheroes embody our own weaknesses, they embody our desire for righteousness and morality. You know, consistently in superhero movies, we have characters who have integrity, who are honest to a fault, who never betray a promise. We have characters who are powerful but use their power to help the weak, unlike what we often experience in real life, where the powerful take advantage of their situation to their own benefit. We have storylines and characters who are unquestionably good or evil, where we know where the line is and we know what to do about it. Where the good guys stand up to the bad guys, and where we know the good guys are going to win. All of those things that are so prominent in superhero movies betray our own desire to see and know what's right and wrong and live it out. To see justice done. To see promises kept. In fact, again, all of those are biblical principles. And Isaiah even warns that something like what's going on in our time would happen. He says, "Woe to those who call good evil and evil good." You know, we live in a world where we don't know what's right and wrong, or we claim not to know, but then we imagine a world and make movies about a world and play in a world and with characters from a world where there's no question And it betrays our desire to see a world where there is right, there is wrong. We know what it is, and we know what to do about it. Now here's the rub. I think we imagine a world where these heroes swoop in and save the day because we feel like somebody needs to. Because we feel like we can't do what needs to be done. Because we feel like there's need and there's injustice and there are problems that are too big for us. And we just want someone to swoop in, okay? First, we need to understand that God has already done and already answered the greatest needs that humanity has. The need for salvation, the need for reconciliation, the need for peace, the need for hope. God has delivered all of that if we'll only come to Him. And I think right here and now, actually, hold on a minute. Let me tell you about a situation that happened in Acts chapter 17, verse 16 and following. Paul, the Apostle Paul, comes into the city of Athens, and they had great imaginations in Athens. They had imagined all-powerful beings of all sizes and shapes, to the point that most historians would say there were about 30,000 gods worshipped and venerated in Athens. And if you examine the characteristics of those gods, they are so close to superheroes that it's unbelievable. And we're getting close to that same number. I know Joel had a picture from the Marvel universe that had all of the heroes and all of the villains. And I'm there like, yeah, there's hundreds. And so Paul comes into this environment where they've imagined these all-powerful beings who can meet all of their needs. And what he feels for them is compassion, because he knows there's a God that's real. There's a God that's not imagined, who really does want to answer human need. And I think the account there in Acts chapter 17 tells us a whole lot. Okay? We learn about the compassion that we should have for people. We learn about the concern that we ought to feel when we see that there are needs. But we also find a challenge to do something. Paul sees those people and he sees their need and he preaches to them. He shares the gospel with them. And this I think drives at one of the reasons we imagine superheroes. Because we want there to be someone to swoop in with a solution and do the thing that we don't want to do. But Paul reveals to us that when we see human need, it's us who need to act. It's us who need to come in and do something about the problems that exist for people, who need to show God's love to them, who need to feel God's mercy and compassion for them. No one's going to fly in with a cape and save the day if you and I don't at least try. And that's the other thing we see here, is that Paul preaches to the Athenians, but we don't read in the book of Acts about a church established in Athens. People don't respond well to what Paul is saying, and that's because many times people prefer the gods they've imagined. The superheroes that are purely imaginary, they prefer that over the real God who could really save them. We learn that sometimes real-life heroes fail. There's no such thing as someone who's bulletproof. There's no such thing as a person who can't be harmed by anything known to this world. Okay? That's imaginary. The truth is, when you step up and you try to do something to make the world a better place, it's hard. People reject you. People put you down. They don't want to hear what you have to say. And the fact that Paul, the Apostle Paul, the great Apostle Paul, could fail reveals that true heroes do the right thing even when it's hard, even when it hurts, even when people don't want to hear it. Superheroes are not real, but people are. On the other side of that coin, we see in the life and ministry of the Apostle Paul that one man can make a difference. that through faith in God, we can have a huge impact on the world around us. In fact, those ordinary people, those first century Christians, were so effective at sharing what God had done and at rescuing people from sin and death that they were accused of turning the world upside down. And so if those ordinary people could do that, even though it was hard, even though they suffered, even though people didn't like them all the time, that tells us that we can and should do something as well. So the question for us is this. Are we going to keep imagining a world where somebody swoops in and does something? Or are we going to remove that from the realm of the imaginary and make it real? Make our lives, our churches, the places where people do step up, where injustice is met with justice, where needs are met with compassion and mercy, where people know that these are people who want to do something about what's happening in the world. The world really does need heroes. The world really does need those who will step in where there are needs. The world really does need the God who loves them and who cares about them. The world really needs God's people to demonstrate that love and to share that truth. And so we have to ask, do we really want to rescue the perishing and care for the dying, or do we prefer to sit in pews and sing about it? You know, you'll finish watching this video and you'll go about your day, and I know you won't be wearing a cape. Okay? But even if you don't have a cape, I want to encourage you to be the kind of person who makes a difference in this world. To step in when you see a need. To step in when something needs to be done. Because I can promise you, no hero is swooping down to do it. I can promise you that you can make a difference in the world, but you're not bulletproof. And so it'll be hard. You will need help. I can promise you that the real world is much different than the one imagined by, MGM or Disney or whoever else. But the real world needs real heroes far more than it needs movies about imaginary ones.